everyone, today I will read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Chapter 8, The Potion Master. There, look, where? Next to the token with the red hair. Wearing the glasses, do you see his face? Do you see his scar? Scar was there. Whisper followed Harry from the moment he left his dormitory the next day. People lining up outside classrooms stood on tiptoe to get a look at him, or double back to pass him in the corridor again. Corridor có nghĩa là hành lang. Harry wishes they wouldn't, because he was trying to concentrate on finding his way to classes. Concentrate có nghĩa là tập trung. There were 142 staircases at Hogwarts. Wide, sweepy ones, narrow, rickety one. Some that late, some were different on a Friday. Some with vanishes stiff halfway up that you had to remember to jump. Then there were doors that wouldn't open unless you asked politely or tickled them in exactly the right place, and doors that weren't really doors at all but solid was just pretending. It was also very hard to remember where anything was because it all seemed to move around a lot. The people in portraits kept going to visit each other, and Harry was sure the coats of armor could work. The girls didn't help either. Help là giúp đỡ. It was always a nasty shock when one of them glided suddenly through a door you were trying to open. Nearly headless Nick was always happy to point New Gryffindor in the right direction, but Biff the Portuguese was both to lock door and treat staircase if you met him when you were late for class. He would drop waste paper basket on your head, pull rocks from under feet, belt you would pick up check có nghĩa là phắn, or sneak up behind you, invisible, grab your nose and screech, guard your corn. Even worse than beasts, if that was possible, was the caretaker August Filch. Caretaker là người giám thị. Harry and Ron managed to get on wrong side of him on their very first morning. Manage là quản lý. Filch found them trying to force their way through a door that unluckily turned out to be the entrance to out-of-bounds corridor on the third floor. He wouldn't believe they were lost, but sure they were trying to break into on purpose, and was threatening to lock them in dungeons when they were rescued by Professor Burrow, who was passing. Filch owned a cat called Miss Norris, a scrawny, dust-colored creature là sinh vật with buggy, lame, light eyes just like Filch. She patrolled the corridor along, break a rule in front of her, put just one tool out of line, and she did whisk forward. Filch, who did appear within 2 seconds later, Phil knew the secret passageway of the school better than anyone, except perhaps Weasley twins. Except là trừ, perhaps có lẽ, and could pop up as suddenly as any of the ghosts. The students all hate him, and it was the dearest ambition of many to give Miss Norris a good kick, And then once you had managed to find them, there were the classes themselves. There was a lot to magic, as Harry quickly found out that waving your wand and saying a few funny words. They had to study the night skies through their telescope every Wednesday at midnight and learn the name of different stars and movement of the planets. 3 times a week, they went out to the greenhouse behind the castle to study herpology. Greenhouse có nghĩa là nhà kính. Herpology có nghĩa là thảo mộc. With a dumpy little witch called Professor Sprout, where they learned how to take care of all strange plants and fungi, and found out what they were used for. Fungi có nghĩa là nấm, were used for là dùng để làm cái gì đó. Easily the most boring class was History of Magic, which was only told by a ghost. Professor Binks had been very old and that when he had fallen asleep in front of the safe room fire and got up next morning to teach, leaving his body behind him, being drawn on and on while they scribbled down name and day. And God admitted the evil and Uri the old bull mixed up. Professor Philwick, the James teacher, was a tiny little wizard who has to stand on a pile of books to see over his desk. And at the start of their first class, he took the roll call, and when he reached Harry's name, he gave an excited squeak, topped it out of sight. Professor McGonagall was again different. Harry had been quite right to think he wasn't a teacher to crush. Sweet and clever little man, she gave them a talking to the moment they sat down in her class. Transfiguration is more of complex and dangerous magic you will learn at Hogwarts. Complex là tổng hợp. Anyone messing around in my class will leave and not come back. You have been warned. Warned là cảnh báo. Then she changed her desk into a bag and back again. They were all very impressed and couldn't wait to get started, but soon realized they weren't going to be changing the furniture into animals for a long time. After taking a lot of complicated notes, they were each given a match and started trying to turn it into a needle. By the end of the lesson, while only Hermione Granger had made anything different to her match, Professor McGonagall showed the class how it had gone all silver and pointy and gave Hermione a rare smile. Class everyone had really been looking forward to was against the dark at Auror's lesson turned out to be a bit of shock. His classroom smelled strongly of garlic. Garlic là nghệ, which everyone said was to one of a vampire he did meet in Romania and was afraid would be coming back to get him one of these days. His turban, he told them, had been given to him by an African prince as a thank you for getting rid of a troublesome zombie, but zombie là xác sống. But they weren't sure they believed this story. For one thing, when Seamus Finnegan asked eagerly to hear how Worrell had found of the zombie, Worrell went being and started talking about the weather. Weather, little Dick. For another, they had noticed that funny smell hung around Rabbit Turban, and the Weasley twins insisted that it was stuffed full of garlic as well, so that Worrell was protected wherever he went. Harry was relieved to find out that he wasn't miles behind everyone else. Like heck, lots of people had come from Muggle families and like him hadn't had any idea that they were witches and wizards. There was so much to learn that even people like Ron didn't have much of a head start. Friday was an important day for Harry and Ron. They finally managed to find their way down to the Great Hall for breakfast without getting lost once. What have we got today? Asked Ron and they poured sugar on his porridge. Porridge có nghĩa là cháo. Double portion was slithering. Ron, Snape head of slithering. They say he always favors them. We'll be able to see if it's true. Was McGonagall favor us? Said Harry. Professor McGonagall was head of Gryffindor. Head of là người đứng đầu. House, but it hadn't stopped her giving them a huge pile of homework the day before. Just then the mail arrived. Harry had gotten used to this by now, but it had given him a bit of shock on the first morning when about 100 owls had suddenly streamed into Great Hall during breakfast. During là giữa buổi. Circling their table until they saw their owners and dropping letters and packages onto their laps. Hagrid hadn't brought Harry anything so far. She sometimes flew into nibble his ear and have a bit of toast before going to sleep in the owlery with other school owls. This morning, however, she fluttered down between the marmalade and sugar bowl and dropped a note onto Harry's plate. Marmalade là mất. Harry tore it open at once. It said in a very untidy scrawl, "Dear Harry, I know get Friday afternoon off, so would you like to come and have a cup of tea with me around there? 3. I want to hear about your first words. Send us an answer back with Hagrid. Harry Potter, Ron's will. Scribble yes, please. See you later on the back of notes and send Hagrid off again. Quail là lông chim. It was lucky that Harry had tea with Hagrid to look forward to, because the potion lesson turned out to be the worst thing that had happened to him so far. At the start of term banquet, Harry had gotten the idea that Professor Snape disliked him. Dislike là không thích. By the end of the first potion lesson, he knew he did being wrong. Snape didn't dislike Harry, he hated him. potion lesson took place down in one of the dungeons. It was colder here than up in the main castle, and would have been quite creepy enough without the pickle animals floating in glass jars all around the wall. Snape, like Filch, started the class by taking Ron, Call, and like Filch. He paused at Harry's name. "Oh yes," he said softly. "Harry Potter, our new celebrity." Raquel and his friend Crabbe and Gollum sneaked behind their hands. Snape finished calling the name and looked up at the class. His eyes were black like Hagrid, but they had none of Hagrid's warmth là hơi ấm. They were cold and empty and make you think of dark tunnels. You are here to learn the subtle science and exact art of potion making. He began. He spoke imperially more than a whisper, but they caught every word like Professor McGonagall. Snape had the gift of keeping a class silent without effort, as there is a little foolish one waving here. Many of you will hardly believe this is magic. I don't expect you will really understand the beauty of the softly shimmery cauldron with its shimmery ring fumes, the delicate power of liquid that creep through human veins, bewitch their mind and scenery. The sense I can teach you how to pottle, flame, brew, crockery, even stubborn that. If you aren't a bunch of dunderheads, as I usually have to teach. More silence followed this little speech. Harry and Ron exchanged look with raised eyebrow. Hermione Granger was on the edge of her seat and looked desperate to start proving that she wasn't a dunderhead. Dunderhead là một người ngu ngốc. Potter said Snape student. What would I get if I added power the root of asphodel to an infusion of wormwood? Powdered root of what to an infusion of what? Harry glanced at Ron, who looked as stern as he was. Hermione's hand had shot into the air. "I don't know, sir," said Harry. Snape's lips curled into a sneer. "To fame clearly isn't everything." He ignored Hermione's hand. "Let's try again, Potter. Where would you look if I told you to find me a pizza?" Hermione stretched her hand as high into the air it would go without her leaving her seat. But Harry didn't have the faintest idea what a pizza was. He tried to look at Malfoy, Grape, and Gollum, who were shaking with rapture. "I don't know, sir. Though you wouldn't open a book before coming here, Potter." Harry forced himself, keeping looking straight into those cold eyes. He had looked through his book at the Dursley, but it did Snape expect him to remember everything in 1,000 magical herbs and furniture? Snape was still ignoring Hermione's weary hand. "What is the difference, Potter, between moonshot and wolfsbane?" At this, Hermione stood up, her hand stretched toward the Duchess, saying, "I don't know," said Harry quietly. "I think Hermione does, so why don't you try her?" A few people laughed. Harry caught the message eye and Seamus wink. Snape, however, was pleased. Sit down, he Snape and Hermione for your information. Potter, Aspara, and Wormwood make a sleeping potion so powerful is known as Rod of Living Death. A pistol is a stone key taken from so much of gold, and it will save you from most potions. As you more short and was bang, there was flame plant, which also goes by the name of Aconite. Well, why aren't you or copy that down? There was a student rummaging for wills and parchment over noise. Snape said a boy and a boy will be taken from Gryffindor House for your cheat, Potter.